So if you watched the last couple videos, we're doing this gas tank here. This is off of a 1980 GS750 Suzuki. Now 1980, all the parts that go on this, here I believe it has the Suzuki stuff, and then it's got the GS stuff for the side panels. They're actually in metal, and they're not quite bright gold. They're kind of an off chrome gold color. So what we're going to do with this, we're going to paint this with a indigo blue, early 2000 Chevy, the whole tank. We're going to run a nice cafe racer style stripe, which we're going to run kind of offside. And we're going to use a light, that light tan gold color, also for, well, probably from mid 2000s Chevys. So they had, it was called something sand or whatever. I can't remember the name of it, but it don't matter. And it's not a strong gold, but it's full of metallic, so it'll look nice, offset the blue. But because all the other stuff has that goldish sort of metallic look to it, it should complement it pretty well. Anyway, so what we got going on, and I just thought I'd stop here while I was working and do a quick video, is we're sanding down this primer. So this is, actually don't use that guy. Just make her clean. This is our hybrid epoxy primer. This is CRE321, CRE321. It is expensive, but it goes far. You can shoot out of the gallon lots. So we did like kind of like a 2.5 fat coat, shot it on with a 1.8 tip. And we had some spots that were a little bit on the rough side, but that don't matter. So now what we're doing is we're blocking it all out, and because it's a tank and it's round, all we're using one of these, it's a Duro block, it's this little skinny guy, got a piece of 400 wrapped around it. We also got some 400 here by hand, obviously it's all caked up. And I got a pencil eraser with a little piece of the same 400 paper, which is what we were using to get in here. And you got to get this all smooth, right? We don't want any, excuse me, we don't want any orange peel in it. And I mean, even here where I didn't sand, it looks pretty good. But if you come here, you can see where it's smooth from being sanded. Here it's just primer. You can see this right here, right when you sand. So this is your orange peel all coming off. So what you got to do, you can pretend that the dark is your guide coat, and you got to sand until that's all gone. But you don't want to just go here and sand this till it's gone and then go here. You want to take your block, you want to come up on this angle and maybe around and back and forth this way and this way. Every time you do one, do it the other way too, because none of this is flat, it's very round. And I mean, then at the end we take this guy and we're just going by hand to kind of smooth out the very final to make sure all the edges and stuff are just kind of, it's a gas tank, right? So it's supposed to be round and bulbous, but you still want to have some definition to it. So let me see, we set up the camera like so. And I've done this maybe a year or two ago. We did a hood scoop and probably some bumpers and some other stuff. Well, let's see if we can give you a bit of a demonstration. All right, so maybe what we'll do, we'll come into here and show you how it'll look like that and how far we got to go to block it. I just have it sitting on a pillow because there's a seam down here. We also shot under the seam and all the way around, so that whole edge is epoxied. We don't want any of that chipping off. Now this stuff will be soft. You can paint it right over top of it after an hour or so, but you've got 4 days to paint it without sanding. Obviously that's if you're thinning it out like a sealer. If you're leaving it like this, you're gonna have to sand it anyway. So it's been, we're on like day 3, so it smells, but I mean, it's not soft, but the nice thing is if we get this painted within the 4-day window, even though it's sanded, cleaned, and all that stuff, it might adhere really well. As you can see, there's all them little dots in there. and that's your highs and your lows. So we have to make sure we sand until that's all gone. So we'll go this way, and I'm just holding it lightly, and I might push the block a little bit, but not a whole lot, like very light. Let the paper do the work. And now we're going to go this way. This don't matter, that hides underneath the decal, but we're just going to run right over it. We don't care about that surface so much. Now you can see what I did there. I just went in the opposite direction like a crosshatch, right? When you wipe it off, you're going to see, like up in here, you can see that little bit of mark. So there's a little bit of a low with a high in the middle of it there. And that's okay. That's why we put this on. These Japanese tanks, this had 3 ribs running through here. And I think we've got it enough. And I mean, we're never going to get rid of it, because instead of this being perfectly bulbous, it actually comes up, and then there's a hard line, a hard line, a hard line, and then bulbous again. But by putting a real fat coat on, we also ran filler here for some of the little dings. These tanks from Japan, I don't know what's on a Harley. I don't play with too many Harley tanks. I've done 1 or 2, but they were aftermarket. But these factory tanks, like, they're not perfect. People think they are, but the fact is, if the paint's nice and you've got a nice clear coat, you're just going, oh, it's shiny, it's good looking, let's jump on the bike. You're looking at the whole bike. No one looks at the paint job on a brand new bike. It's just a fact, right? But on these bikes, this tank looked totally fine, had a few bruises, a few scratches, but you couldn't tell that this was really wonky, and it was silver. But, you know, in black, you probably would have seen something. But as soon as we sanded it and marked it, 3 lines exposed here from when they formed the tank. And there's a few places, especially at the back in this area, where it kind of went like this. So we put a touch of filler, we sanded it, and then we filled the rest with 3 coats of this primer. We went pretty fat with the primer. This will shrink, expand, stick. We didn't take all the paint off down to metal. You can, yes, it's advised, it's the best thing to do. Kind of doing this on the side for my buddy's bike. We're charging him 0. You know, I told him for material to bring me a pizza and a case of drinks or something, right? So you get the idea. So now I'm going to go, now this is where we want to fix the spot here, but I'm going to start right at the edge and work my way right across. Now the reason why, I don't want to just stand here and make it like a flat spot. Now on a space this big, you might not even notice it. But it's just good practice. I'm trying to put my hand here a lot because the tank's strong. I don't want to push a ripple or anything into the tank. I'm just squishing it onto a pillow or a cushion or whatever, and, you know, just so that I don't scratch these edges. You could even throw like one of those little mats down, or like one of those sticky black pads that goes inside your tool chest or whatever, just so that it doesn't slide around on you. And again, this is probably not the absolute best way, but I'm just treating it like if this was the corner of a bumper part on a Toyota Land Cruiser or something that comes around and it's all right. You treat it the same way, right? So you put your high build on and you block it till everything is nice. Basically, we're trying to get rid of anything that's deformed. So this would work on a plastic bumper just as it would work on a gas tank or a trailer fender. A bumper corner piece, you know, whether it be metal or plastic, it's all the same. It's all the same theory, the same work. So you can look at that, and I am going to get us a little closer. Bear with me. Okay, so, sorry about the shake, but now you can kind of see. So here, it's a high spot, right? So what I'm going to do is sand this, like this is already done, this is done, and we'll catch this edge by hand after, because it's just round. You can kind of come up like so, as long as you keep moving back and forth as you're doing it. Right, because we want to keep it all as uniform as we can. Right, now we got it pretty close. There's a couple little dark marks. Oh, I missed some of that, eh? So there's a couple little dark marks here. See if we can set this up a touch better here for you. So this is where we're going to come with our 400. Yeah, that's plenty. So I'm kind of putting the pressure right on the edge, then I'm moving my pressure above it, below it. You get the idea. And we're not going to go way down on our flat. Like I'm moving my, see, I'm here, and then I'm here, and then I'm here. I'm kind of trying to spread it out. And you can even put a little curve on it like so, now don't push your fingers in, you don't want to dig. So we're going to bring them up a little tighter. And I mean, I'm running it real light. And I got to tell you, as light as we run it, like I'm barely, you know what I mean? But look, it sanded that tiny bit of dark that was there. So this looks all the same, it's round. Now, another thing you can do when you're done all this, if you're not sure and you figure the shape has a little wow or something in it, maybe there was a dent here and you repaired it, what you can do, once this is all done and clean, you can put your wax and grease remover all over it, and you can see what it looks like shiny to see whether there's bumps or dings or anything like that. So, just treat every area as one. So we're doing this area here, and we stopped here. I mean, these are welded in and they kind of stick out. Now right here, I don't know if you can see, there's like a bit of a peppering right there. And that, yeah, you can see it. Just checking the camera to make sure you can see it. Let's see. There you go. You see, so that's a low spot, which means this is a little high and this is a little high. Now we barely came over this. We did come over here over that edge a bit, but now we're going to start coming into this edge. We're just going to follow the line here and stop. And then once we hit that, we're going to come down, and then we're going to just go a little over the whole thing because we'll block that too. It's not that important, but we don't want it all bumpy, right? And you want it sanded for the paint to adhere. So we should have some cross-link, some some chemical adhesion, but because this will all be sanded to 400, now, should it be smoother, not smoother? It depends on the paint you're using. Guys will talk about all these different grits. I like to sand to 800 or 600. Now, the reason I'm doing 400, we're doing this with a Limco paint. Same stuff I shoot cars and trucks with. Now, that's a base coat. Now, I know when I use that, I can get it on where it is smooth, 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 and very, very flat. And the clear coat I put on is pretty thick as well, right? So it's not about how many coats. It's more about how many mils of thickness, I suppose you could say. But whatever product you're using, right? Don't listen to me or the next guy or anybody or all the crap online. Just read the TDS sheet. You can download most of them and find them. And some of the brands that I like, it actually has right on the side of the can, whether it's 4:1, 4:2, 4:2.5. In the case of this primer, I think it's 2:1, and then you can go to half, if I'm not mistaken. Whatever it is, and when I say the half at the end, it's because for this, you can just shoot it straight primer, so you put your primer and your hardener together, you stir it all up and shoot it. But if you want to use it as a sealer, you know, there's another half measurement that goes into it, which is just like either acetone or a quality reducer, as they call it. Which is good to know, because if something happened and I broke through and had to fix it, I'd want to reseal the tank, possibly, depending on the repair. And that would give me the option of using the same primer, which, you know, works really well together. So I'm trying to concentrate on this, but I'm going across the whole thing, because I don't want to create waves. I want it to, I want all the waves to hide as much as possible, let's say, right? Now, if you were going with something super slick and black, this would be really important. But honestly, for what we're doing, this is going to be good enough for 99.99% of the people out in the world, even if you point it out and stare, you know, have them stare at it. Yeah, on the side it does get a little more aggressive, mainly because, you know, we didn't wear that paper out yet. And that's okay. We're ignoring this line, we're just coming over it. when we do this, we'll come up to it, and again, we'll hand sand this off the same way we did that. Man, that's perfect. We're happy with that right there. So now I'm going to try to get this square. Now I know down here was pretty square, so those dots will go quick. I'm just going back and forth to get the bulk of it off. And now I'm going to change this paper. You will go through more paper sanding the epoxy. Some of it's gummy and sticky. Now this stuff ain't. Let me show you. Usually I use a microfiber cloth, but look. As long as there's no stuck spots or gooey spots, and that's what I like with the CRE. If you leave it for even a day, you can sand it this way. You leave it for 2 or 3, it's fine. Now if I leave this another, till day 5, it's a little harder, but I mean, I don't know. It still seems to sand out and block just fine. So if you forget it and do it later, it might be a little harder, but it's not enough that you're going to care. Here I'm coming up a little higher here and there just to make sure that there's no little ripple right here. So and now I'm going to put the pressure on this side of the pad. I'm going to come up against that line, and it'll skip over. I'm not trying to, but it'll do that. It's not what I'm trying to do, but this is a cool old bike from 1980, and we're making it cool enough to go down the road. We're not trying to win some motorcycle Rama show someplace or whatever they got. Now I know this is a motorcycle tank, but what I'm doing is just basic body work that you can do on the hood of your GM truck. This is exactly what I'd be doing. Can you use machines and board files and air files? And sure you can, but this is the same theory. So you can see that we haven't hit that corner yet. Yeah, I had in a comment one time, I'd never use a pillow. If you use a pillow, you're going to get all kinds of fuzziness in your paint. Look, nothing's going to stick to this. We're going to clean this. After I'm done this, I usually take this, which is like a, between what, 450 and 500 grit or something like that. We're going to wipe the whole thing down, and I'm actually going to let it scuff in a little bit, and that'll take any sand scratches are there, that might take them out. Now sometimes I'll take a piece of 500 paper and I'll go over all this just to make sure. Like this is all nice. There's a few places where you'll see sand scratches a little heavier, where the paper was a little fresher. So now we have down here, let's bring this up to the camera maybe. Right, so you can see down here, that's got to go. So I'm going to come up from here and work my way down so that I don't have a ripple here. And again, I'm probably overdoing it and overthinking it, but it's just good practice to use the same principles all the time once you've figured them out, and you'll be happy. I mean, I could concentrate on this and it might have a little tip in and still look pretty good, but if we go further, see, now I'm using that edge and I'm riding this edge a little bit, and then instead of riding this edge, I'm going to tilt this way so I'm not riding the edge. You get the idea. Kind of, trying to sort of blend it in, right? Now we're going to come up the other way. Right? Always different directions. So that basically, whatever wave or distortion you have will become so minute that it won't matter. Like, I mean, how do you get laser straight panels? Now, on a big panel, that's way easier than on something, that's 4 inches by 8 or 9 inches. So there's a few little dots here and a few down in here. with the whole bottom and a bit in the top. So we're gonna go across the whole thing. So I'm gonna run this direction. And this is probably a super boring video, but whatever. Skip through them, right? Like, I watch a lot of videos and try to keep the mind fresh and thinking, and I watch a lot of videos and a lot of different techniques. And sometimes when you're working and you think you know what you're doing and you're doing fine, you'll see something go, that's a little weird, and then you might just adapt that technique that you watched. Most of the times you'll remember where you saw it, other times you won't. But at the end of the day, if everybody's kind of learning off each other, like you know, the more educated we all become, right? Just because it's different don't mean it's bad. Keep that in mind too. And all this video is I thought I'd show you how we're going to do a tank. So we have a few videos on this this tank, but this applies for everything you do. Well, in this case, this is how we block the CRE321 high build hybrid primer. It is an epoxy. Note, not all epoxies will do this and block this way and act this way. Some of them are gummy and a pain in the butt. You want to use them to seal off, let's say you got your whole car in bare metal, right? You want to use it so that it seals everything off and it gives you time to work over top of it. No, we don't want that. So I was going to hit this edge because we got up here. We'll do that and it'll kind of show you. And we're going to go over the whole thing. But we don't do too much of that because with your bare hand, look, your hand is all, it's got different pads. It ain't flat, right? But that edge is super duper round, so the pads of your hands will probably follow that pretty good. And you can see here, that edge is really nice. But before we go all the way down, this isn't done. So this was a little bit done. We're going to come through here. We're going to try to block that in. To get in this shape in here, I just use the edge, and again, cross hatch, right? And you can also use one of these round guys, right? You can come in here and get closer, and again, cross hatch both ways. And if you're doing this and then you're doing this, don't stop here. Stop here, stop here, stop here. Like, keep moving your stops so you don't make one of these hollows over here, whether it's Bondo primer or whatever, right? So always start small and go bigger, go big and go smaller, and, you know, move it around, change positions, change directions constantly. The more you do it, the better it kind of is, right? Like, maybe that's something we should look at a little more. We'll make the video a couple minutes longer. If you got enough, tune out. Thanks for watching. If not, you can continue on. So I'm coming down because this is almost flat. It runs in this direction here. There's always a hollow here from where they form the tanks. So we'll get it as good as we can this way. Now this is, again, like the side, we're just taking the majority of it off, and you can see there's still a little bit in there, right? So now I'm starting to cross hatch because down at the table it's harder to go straight. All right. How do I get that little line out of there? Like, is it low? It could be. You see what I'm doing? I'm kind of steering around because I don't want to cut an edge on this, right? Look at that. Now we know it might be a little high right here. So we're avoiding the round coming in. If you want to get really picky, you can throw some black powdered guide coat on here, whatever. You'd be probably getting way too picky at this point on this particular job. So we're going to come around this curve. See, back one way. Yep, I'm using the edge. I know you're not supposed to do that, but you got to get in here, and if you run your fingers in, you create, you know, little ditches the shape of your fingers. So I'm cross hatching, see? Like it's a tank, so there's all these weird shapes and it gets finicky, but at the end of the day, a little deviation coming around here, you're not going to see it the way you would see here, like all the visual spots, but we still want to get it as clean as we can, minimize the wave, you know, so it doesn't look like there's a big wallop somewhere in it, right? That's all we're doing. And this tank was one of the better tanks I've done. It was really nice, but we had to put a bit of filler down in here and up here. There was a gouge here, and it was very shallow, but it cut through the paint up and down and put a little dimple, and it took a little filler, and it wasn't bad. It was okay. It was acceptable. But what we did notice, there was some highs and lows running through here, a low up here, and up in here, and then all down in here. And then the shape of the tank here from where they pressed the top of the tank, it wasn't nice. It was, you know, it had like 3 little ridges. And this was like an accordion, and as you can see, it's super smooth.